Hey everybody, welcome to this video. And what I'm going to go through today is something I would call the unsung hero when it comes to running a successful e-commerce business. And this has come up quite a lot within my paid communities. I mentor e-commerce businesses with my Ecom Blueprint program and also have an up-level mastermind program as well, which I started a few years ago off the back of successfully co-founding an e-commerce business in 2013 with my brother that has since gone on to do multiple seven figures per year. So I teach people what I do, how to do it so they can scale their businesses as well. And one of the key things that we talk about quite a lot is a very distinctive difference that means the difference between success and failure. And it's basically where people like to talk about, especially gurus on the internet and people trying to sell you stuff, talk about revenue. What they neglect to talk about is profit. And so revenue is basically all the money you make in terms of sales. That's the total amount of sales that you might make in a day, a week, a month, a year, etc. It's the total amount of sales. Whereas profit is essentially what you're left over with after all your expenses and even taxes, in some case, interest and that sort of stuff, wages, stock and inventory is left over. So you might see someone on the internet making $100,000 and that looks impressive on the surface. But some of these people, in fact, a lot of them that I even know, are making barely any profit when it comes down to what they're spending on ads especially, and obviously their stock and all that other stuff that I just mentioned before. But the biggest variable that I see especially is around your advertising spend. So again, especially people who are pushing you to sign up to programs that do ads and things like that, even agencies and things where this brand went from this to this, they neglect to tell you the reality of what that looks like from a profit perspective. So the profit margin is actually, again, an unsung hero to growing your business successfully. Because I know quite a number of people who are doing 100K a month in their e-commerce business and they're barely making enough or anything to even pay themselves, let alone expand any further beyond that, because they're so reliant on spending everything that they make on ads again and again and again to just pump up their revenue numbers. And so it's just something I probably want to bring your attention to. You might be seeing these people getting huge results and envious of them and, like, how do they do this? When in reality, they just spent a lot more to get more exposure, get more sales for the door. And as I said, barely making a profit. So you may even be more profitable than they are at the moment if you're not in that position. So what can you basically do to be more profitable? Well, my advice to people in my community and through my mastermind program is to obviously scale sustainably and as slow as necessary to make sure that the numbers and the metrics make sense before you quote unquote scale. And scale on an ads level basically means to spend more money to get more money out, which is again what these people are doing. However, when we talk about scaling, we're talking about like 3, 4, 5x return on ad spend, not 1 to 1.5x return on ad spend. It's basically one is like, I put $10,000 in, I get $10,000 out. I put $10,000 in, I get $15,000 out. That's 1.5. But then again, you've got to factor in your cost of goods and all these other factors, wages and whatnot, factory, all this sort of stuff that is unprofitable. So this is something, as I say, I would say to you, and as I've said to many people in my program before, you just really have to watch your profit margin. You have to know exactly, yes, what revenue you're making. That's great. You want to see that growing, but not at the literal expense of your profit margins. And most of it, like as I say, 9 times out of 10, it comes down to ad spend. They either get advised to just spend more, right? An agency might say it, a program might say it, just spend more and you'll make more. And yeah, that makes sense. But what does that mean? Would you rather make $100,000 and keep 5 or make $50,000 and keep 10? Right? Basically, for the double amount of revenue, you've got twice the amount of headaches, twice the amount of customers to serve, twice the amount of everything. In fact, things go up quite exponentially when it comes to costs and it comes to serving customers, it comes to bringing people on, customer service representatives, for example. There's more things to break in the machine. So you're probably doing more than twice the work for half the profit. So it's not as, I guess, all as it seems. Now, that's not to say that brands don't scale profitably. Carmex been scaling profitably for years, doing multiple hundred thousands per month, right? But it was done in the right way where ad costs are under control and only growing with what was necessary. And also had the ability to cut fat across the journey as well, where things weren't profitable, cut that out. You might drop your revenues for a minute, but your profit margins are left intact. You're not continually blindly pouring into ads and ad spend, just hoping things will turn around. When I get that repeat customer, when that email gets sent out, when my database gets to X, when I get to Black Friday, I'll become profitable. It's really just hitting and hoping. And so again, my simple message for this video is the unsung hero of a successful e-commerce business is profit. You really can't rush to get to the milestone that you want to get to if it's going to be at the expense of your profit. It will absolutely deplete you and drain your business dry. There's nothing worse than looking in your account and seeing another $5,000 go to Meta, another $5,000 go to Google, and that happens every second day. It's really stressful, right? As I say, I've seen it. I've been close to it myself a few times, but luckily with the experience, I was able to check myself and the help of a mentor myself as well. So yeah, I just wanted to explain that to you. I wanted to help you understand what to focus on, what to actually prioritize, and that we must know our numbers on a daily basis and look at the trends of where your cash is going. Look at your marketing expense ratios, meaning the percentage of revenue that is attributed to your ad spend, right? So if you're spending $1,000 a day and making $5,000, for example, then your marketing expense ratio is 20%. Okay, you want to know what that is at a break-even level. So what's profitable, what's unprofitable? How long can you hang on in terms of unprofitable days versus obviously when you got to get back to up to profit. So knowing these numbers is really, really crucial. Track everything every single day. We use sheets within our program, our community. And then you know what you've got to actually roll back in to the business, right? To obviously reinvest. So again, just wanted to make you aware of this. Wanted to help you focus on the right numbers because especially a lot of people on the internet talk about revenues and look how amazing this is, when they themselves, I know for a fact, are running at 1 to 1.5 return on ad spend. And it's just crazy that they are selling people down the rabbit hole of revenue at all costs, literally at the cost of dollars in your bank account, but then at the cost of your sanity really as a founder and your stress levels. It's crazy. Okay. So that's all I want to go through. If you want to know more about what we do, how we help e-commerce businesses, there's a link below. You can click on that and get some more information and have a chat if it seems like it might be right for you. But other than that, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, I'd love a like, I'd love a subscribe, and providing all the information I possibly can and providing information that I wish I had when I was starting out. So hope you enjoyed it and I'll catch you in the next one.